Minnesota is the talk of the town in the Big Ten. Can Purdue shut up the town? Let's preview Minnesota-Purdue. This preview really has two versions. Version number one is if Aidan O'Connell is not able to play due to injury. Version number two is if he is able to play. All right, quickly, version number one. If Aidan O'Connell is not able to play, Minnesota's going to win. They're going to win by a lot. Purdue's not going to do much on offense. That's it. You saw how they played a 2-point game against Willie Taggart's Florida Atlantic Owls. Yeah, it's not going to go well if Aidan can't play. All right, let's get in to version two. If he is able to go, this is a passing offense that I think will be one of the bigger challenges for Minnesota and their defense this season. Remember, Minnesota tops in the Big Ten right now in passing defense. And Purdue is second in the Big Ten in passing offense. So this is going to be kind of a clash of the Titans, so to speak, in terms of that particular matchup. When you talk about Purdue's passing offense, you gotta start with Charlie Jones. Charlie Jones, their number one target, transfer over from Iowa. He's had over 130 yards in 3 out of 4 games, and the one last week that he didn't go over 100 yards, he ended up catching 2 touchdown passes. This guy's a weapon. Very curious to see how Minnesota's going to dial him in, because Charlie Jones, if they keep on going to him, that kind of opens things up, because a lot of defenses will roll to the side of Charlie Jones to try to put more defenders in his area, and that opens things up kind of for the other guys. So if Charlie Jones has a good day, that's where kind of Purdue's offense can really hit their stride. Kind of like last year. When David Bell had a good day, Purdue won some big games. Purdue won and did well offensively. So those guys have been kind of interchangeable from this year to last year. When I look at Minnesota and I see how dominant they are on the ground this season, they're tops in the Big Ten in rushing offense this year. You really think Purdue and that defense, who's middle of the road in the Big Ten this year, you really think that they're going to stack up against this Minnesota offensive line, against this running game? No. Minnesota is going to be physical. Minnesota is going to dominate the line of scrimmage offensively. I have no doubt in my mind, which puts more pressure on the Purdue offense, because if Minnesota is running the ball effectively, taking the time off the clock, being physical, scoring when they get down there, that puts more pressure on Purdue's offense to get touchdowns every time they touch the ball. And that's not going to happen, especially against this Minnesota defense, right? This is one of the best defenses consistently in the Big Ten Conference. Right now, the Golden Gophers are up there. And if I'm Minnesota, if I'm Joe Rossi, the defensive coordinator for the Golden Gophers, I'm telling Thomas Rush, I'm telling our pass rushers, I'm saying pin your ears back and rush the passer, because Purdue doesn't have a running game. Right? Remember that game against Penn State where they were up late in that game and it was a 4 to 5 minute offense, run the ball, try to take time off the clock? They refused to run the football. I believe King Doru was a little bit banged up. Their top running back was banged up a little bit last week. Correct me in the comments if that's not accurate. But I believe he was banged up last week against Florida Atlantic as well. So, this is not an offense that's built for running the football. And Minnesota, just say, rush the passer. Get into the backfield. Is this an offensive line that's going to be able to keep Minnesota and their pass rush out of the backfield? I don't think so. Right? Look at all of the matchups across the board, and this is a one-dimensional Purdue team. This is a Purdue team that they can throw the ball. Like, they've got good talent throwing the ball. Other facets of the game, run offense, rush defense, pass defense, they don't match up. They just don't match up with Minnesota. Minnesota's going to be dominant. They're going to own the line of scrimmage in this game. Will Aidan throw for 250? Could he throw for 300? Sure he could, but that's not nearly enough. Couple of touchdowns? Sure he could. But that's not going to be nearly enough to beat Minnesota. And I don't think there's any way that Aidan O'Connell goes for over 300 yards and 2 touchdowns against this Minnesota defense. This Gophers defense is too good right now. This is a Minnesota team. You look at the remainder of their schedule. Outside of that game against Penn State, this is a team that could win 11 games. Who knows, maybe they could even go undefeated if they beat Penn State, but I just don't think Purdue is that team to get into the way of the Golden Gophers. Minnesota's much more balanced, Minnesota's much more physical, and they are just the better team. No question about it in my mind right now. What do you guys think? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. Gophers and Boilermakers, this one might not be close. I want to hear your thoughts. Make sure you subscribe to Big Ten Ted. I am Big Ten Ted, and we will see you in the next one.